So, yeah. So what's up? What are you doing?
Right now, not much. Working on a little gazebo that I put together outside, and I think it's raining, and I think it's going to stop this afternoon. I'm hoping to float part of the Lehigh River and do a little fly fishing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
What kind of fish is up there?
trout. I mean, there's bass
Hmm.
too, but right now I'd be fishing for trout.
Okay.
They stock it pretty well, and right now it's kind of like the start of the hatches.
There you
It
go.
got
Okay.
warm a little bit and it rained. I'm not sure if there will be much of a hatch today, but I want to get out. I have a couple hours. My wife agreed. So
She
once
agreed.
we're done here, I'm gonna go on baby duty and give her a little bit of a break, and then I'm hoping she'll drive me and drop me off at the river and pick me back up a couple hours later.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Did you say you were gonna float the river a little bit too?
Yeah, I have a kayak that it's like I sit
Okay.
on top and I'll fish from that and then get out somewhere else. That's why I need a ride.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's fun.
That'd be very nice of her if she did that for you. Especially with Mother's Day being, tomorrow. Like,
Yeah,
no. Uh,
yeah, she's pretty good to me.
yeah. Yeah.
I'd like her to come with. She fishes too, and
Really?
yeah, but we would have to get my mom over here to watch the baby for a few hours, and it's also Mother's Day for her. So
Right. Yeah, true, true. But you know what? As mothers, like our mothers, as they become grandmothers, they're probably just happy to be, their Mother's Day is just hanging out with the grandbabies. So,
yeah,
you know,
that's true.
that might be a good present for her. Um, where are you living at?
I live pretty much where I grew up.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I'm about 15 miles west of Lehigh University,
Okay.
west and a little bit north, um, Parkland High School area,
Okay.
which I don't know if you know where that is. You probably have heard of Nazareth and Easton and Northampton,
Yeah.
Bethlehem Catholic. We're all in the same district.
Gotcha. Okay. That does ring a bell now geez, that must have been just a tough little section trying
It
to
is.
wrestle there.
Yeah, it's very tough. It breeds some tough wrestlers, but it's really hard. When you're on a team, you could be really, really good and still not even win your district. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was my junior year. We had two state champs on our team and three other placers. We got third in the state. We were ranked fourth in the country.
Wow.
I believe that year, I believe that year, Easton may have been first and Northampton 10th, or vice versa. But
Mhm.
like back then, it was Easton. Like in '98 and '99, it was Easton, Northampton, and Parkland, and we never won. We always got third in the district. We lose. They would put us against the number one seed in the semis,
Mm.
and then we never even made it to the state tournament. But yet we're ranked top 10 in the country. It was great. We
Right.
beat Blair Academy 2 years in a row. Ended their, I think they had like an 80 dual meet win streak, and
Wow.
Parkland ended it. And then we beat them again the following year, but we couldn't win our own district. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still like that, but now Parkland's a little lower on the ladder because
Mhm.
you add in Bethlehem Catholic and Notre Dame, and
Yeah.
now Nazareth has resurged and they're good. So you have Northampton, Easton, Nazareth, Becca, and Notre Dame. It's like, you
Gee.
kidding me? It's like you're fighting. If you're a normal school, you're fighting for like top six, maybe get sixth or maybe fifth in the district, and you did a good job. It's like crazy.
Are you still involved at all?
A little bit. I help
Yeah.
out some kids. Like I had a group this year. I had a group of like five Parkland kids I was helping like once a week. And then went down to Emmaus and helped out. My high school assistant coach is now the head coach at Emmaus, so I went down and helped him a few times for practice and
Okay.
things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a bit of a break from it
Yeah.
because I figure my last year I coached, I kind of burned myself out. I had coached the boys, and we had started a girls team, and I had coached the girls too, and both teams were too big in numbers to have practice at the same time. Even in our room is three wrestling mats, but our girls had like 45 and our boys were like 60.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
I was coaching boys, and then afterwards I would coach girls. So I'd get home at like 8:30 every night, and then the boys
Mhm.
competed Saturday, the girls competed Sunday. I mean, it was well over a
Mhm.
thousand hours that year of coaching, and then I was like, I think I'm done for a little while.
Yeah,
So I took a little break, a little family time, and I figure I don't know what my daughter's going to get into, and if we have another kid, I don't know what that kid would get into, but I want to watch what they do, and if it happens to be wrestling, then I'll probably get back involved.
yeah,
But yeah, whatever. I put a
yeah.
lot of time into it. I coached Lehigh for a few years,
Hmm.
ran a club called Lehigh Valley Wrestling Club. That now became the RTC. Kerry
Yeah.
McCoy is in charge of that now. Kerry was actually in charge of it when I was in college, and then he took the job at Maryland,
Hmm.
and I kind of took over the LVWC um, and ran that while I was coaching at Lehigh, and then got the job back at Parkland, and nobody took over. And Pat Santoro called me and said, "Hey, you built this thing up, and there are a good number of kids, but now that we have no one to run it." So I
Hmm.
kept running it for a while. Coached at Parkland as an assistant under Ryan Nunemaker. We had some pretty good teams then. We made it to the top three in the state.
Hmm.
Um, Only won one district title. That was the
Hey,
only district title I know that Parkland ever won.
hey, you
I
got
think it
one.
was 2012, I think it was. Um, Coached with nuns for a while, and then I took some time and ran a Beat the Streets program and the
Nice.
LBWC for 5 years, and then came back and took over the Parkland program for a handful of years. And now I'm like, okay, I need a little breather.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
When you want to be a good program and a good coach, like it takes a lot of, it takes, first off, it takes a family of people or a village, like your wife has to be bought in and know that you're going to be working, through the season and even in the off season, you're going to be working a lot. And so it's just, if you want to be good, it's going to take a lot of hours,
yeah,
a lot of effort. And, I can see why some guys like you're like, whoa, why'd they step down? Like Nick Mitchell at Grandview, if you've heard of him, like people are like, wow, what happened? He's young, and it's like, dude, he's been doing it for 20 years, and he's probably just drained.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
It does. It does drain you for sure. I mean,
so
it's a good thing. It's a good
yeah,
place
yep,
to put your energy, but I think family's got to come first too. So,
yeah. Yeah, like you said, there's sacrifices are going to come, especially as your kids get older and involved in things, and especially if they're involved in winter things, and who knows if they're going to get involved in basketball, and then it's a direct conflict and dance, and there's just so much stuff.
yep,
So,
yeah.
so you said you grew up, were you born in Parkland or in the area?
I was born in Allentown, and
Okay.
then we lived in Center City, Allentown, until I was about five. And then
Okay.
my parents had bought um, like 17 acres out in Parkland, all on the side of a hill. It was like,
17. Okay.
yeah, it was like junk land for pretty much everything except for deer hunting. But
Yeah.
my dad got a bulldozer, like an old bulldozer, and fixed it up and terraced the land and got
Really?
the driveway in. So our driveway, when my dad retired, he poured concrete on the driveway, one truck at a time. It took 17 trucks of concrete and 3 years to prep the whole thing, form it up, stone it, mesh it, pour the concrete, strip the form, and then start forming the next section. And it took 3 years to get it all done. It's a lot of
Holy
concrete.
cow.
So the driveway we from the mailbox at the bottom up to the house is 145 vertical feet,
Yeah.
and the driveway is about 1,000 feet long.
Jeez.
So it kind of zig because it switches back and goes up the hill. It's bad in the winter.
I was
Snow's okay, but when it gets ice, it's too steep. My dad has chains on all four tires of his truck, and you just slide down on the ice, so it gets kind of sketchy. But that's where
Yeah.
I grew up. I liked it. I like spending a lot of time outside. It was cool. It's a good place to be a kid.
Yeah, what like is that where you kind of had some hobbies like you said hunting and like being
Well,
outdoor nature or
honestly, I never hunted or fished until I detached my retina in 2001. So I was
Mhm.
20 years old, and it was like a flash before my eyes, like I might not be able to wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
I need to fill this void with something fast or I'm going to go crazy. So I started fishing and then really quickly started trying to learn how to fly fish. Strobel was into that, was teaching me how to tie flies and cast and took me out a bunch of times. And I got kind of into that pretty quickly. I wasn't very good at it for a long time. Starting to get better at it now.
Yeah.
Um, but I like that a lot. And when I grew up, what we would do, like I spent a lot of time in the woods, and we would
Yeah.
do the Jordan Creek is a pretty well stocked creek in our area. They put a
Okay.
lot of trout in there. Um, when I was a kid, I didn't really care about that, but it's right by my house. You go down the driveway and then go another 1,000 yards or so through the woods, and you're at the
Mhm.
creek. So we'd go down there and play in the creek and flip over rocks and find stuff and catch things and do what we called river hikes and go hike
Mhm.
up the river for a couple hours and then turn around and come back and then in fifth grade when I was 10, I became good friends with a kid named Ben, and he lived about 5 miles away, but he lived right by Waresdam Park, about a mile from Waresdam Park. So I would bike to his house, and then we would bike to the park, and there's a rope swing there we used to go off of. We built a ramp off the cut bank and drop into this hole with our bikes. We'd go flying up in the air and then land in a hole. We backpacked pieces of 2x4 and hammer and nails, and we built a ladder going up a tree and jump into this
Nice.
hole. And we did all kinds of fun stuff that
Yeah.
like young boys should be doing.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, I was 10 years old. I would bike 5 miles to get to Ben's,
I was gonna say 5 miles. Wow.
a
That's
mile to get to the park, bike around and play in water all day, bike back to Ben's, and then bike back home. So I was getting like 15 miles a day as a 10-year-old all summer, every day,
yeah.
except weekends. My dad's rule was be home before I'm home. So I had to be home at 4 every day.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so it was really cool. It was a rewarding childhood. I liked it.
Yeah.
But
How'd you keep track of the time back then? Like, or did
I
you
had a
get?
watch. I
Oh, you
always
had a
had one of
watch.
those
Okay.
little
You had it.
Timex
Yeah. Okay.
watches. Yep.
Okay. Was
Timex Expedition.
I'm curious, like as a kid, we always like to push the boundaries. So I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, what's the fastest like, oh no, it's like 3:45. I gotta go. And you just like booking it. Like,
I wasn't too bad about getting home because
yeah,
usually I was tired and hungry by then and had been
yeah.
outside all day. And it's amazing how long kids can stay outside. And thinking back, I look at them like, what was I eating and drinking? Because I wasn't packing water or anything.
Yeah.
Um, so like I honestly don't know how I spent 6 hours in a row at a park, but coming home wasn't the issue.
Mhm.
A lot usually I would get home and I'd be pushing my bike, like walking my bike up the driveway. I couldn't take it up the driveway then. I was
Yeah.
too weak. And my dad would come up the driveway in his car. So like I timed it pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, but I used to in the morning when I would go to Ben's, usually around 9 o'clock or so, I would see how fast I could bike that 5 miles. And that
And
was pretty fun. I got pretty good at it.
yeah.
The first 2.5 miles kind of is downhill.
hmm
Um, and I made it pretty quick a couple of times. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So were you like I know we're talking a little bit about this 10-year-old adventures, but when you're riding your bike to Ben's house, like are you on like a highway or like were you outside of town? Like where were you?
no, they were back roads, back like country roads. Like now it's suburbia, but the population was half as much then.
Yeah.
That wasn't so bad. I don't know that I would recommend a young kid riding on those roads
I
now.
was gonna say what?
There's 2 or 3 times as many cars, and people
Yeah.
now there's cell phones, so people get distracted. Like I was biking to work and back
Yeah.
for a while, and I had a couple near misses with cars because people just
Really?
aren't paying attention well enough for a bike to be on the side of the road.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, it was a different time back then for
Oh,
sure.
that's awesome. So how many siblings do you have, John?
Just one older brother.
Okay. Did you guys get into mischief together or did
We didn't get along super well. So when my parents built the
same?
house,
I didn't probably get along with him, my brother, until like mid 20s.
yeah, that's basically college years is when we started to see a little closer to eye to eye. But
Yeah.
I think I think when my parents split up when I was 6, and my brother was 8,
Hmm.
and I was really like getting a lot of attention through wrestling, going to
Yeah.
tournaments all the time. Like not so much the first 2 years, but once I got to be 10, I was in 5th grade, and I told my dad like I want to wrestle more, and he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I want to wrestle. Like I don't want season to end." And so
Wow.
he's like, "Well, you could do. I think they have freestyle and Greco." So I was like, "I want to do it." So I started doing that, and I was wanting to go to tournaments every weekend, all over the place, and so I wound up spending all like pretty much all the weekends with my dad traveling around the tournaments, and my brother was just kind of home alone. So my
Hmm.
mom, when her and my dad split, my dad we stayed with my dad, and we went to my mom's on the weekends a lot of times. But
Hmm.
I think my brother, as a result, like bonded with my mom
Yeah.
because he was
Hmm.
spending the weekends with her, and I bonded with my dad. And then during the week when we were stuck home alone together, like there was a lot of resentment towards me. And in
Yeah.
the summer, we didn't have babysitters or anything.
Right.
So we went to a camp down across, it was called Camp Horseshoe down across the road from our house, like
Hmm.
part of the Allentown Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Um, Back then, I guess it was just the Allentown Boys Club. But we used to go to that camp. And then once I got to be like 10 years old, we
Hmm.
stopped going to the camp and we just stayed home alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old home alone. And my brother was not nice to me. So I would just, before he'd even wake up, I'd get on my bike and leave.
Yeah. You go to
Yeah.
Ben's.
Go. Yep. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That was kind of how it went. So
When did when did you start wrestling then? And was
started
it
when I
like
was
was it a
second
family
grade.
thing
I was
too?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get into it?
My dad
Oh,
wrestled when he was the oldest of 8
okay.
siblings, and he got into a scuffle in shop class with some football player. And my dad was small. When he was
Hmm.
in 10th grade, he weighed 98 pounds. And turned out the shop teacher was the wrestling coach. And he got into it with this bigger guy,
Hmm.
and he grabbed the guy, and they wound up on the ground. And I don't know, you know, if he did any good or whatever, but the shop teacher afterwards said, "Trenge, after school today, meet me at the gym." And my dad thought it was like a detention or whatever,
Right.
but the guy gave him wrestling shoes and said, "You're practicing today." And he's like, "What?" And I guess back then you just did what you're told. So he wrestled, and then he wound up liking it. My dad's got a really good work ethic, and he was strong. And when you're with wrestling, if you're 98 pounds and you're 16 years old, you go against other 98 pounders. So
Right.
he liked that part of it. And then all the younger brothers wrestled. So I
Hmm.
wound up like there were 7 boys and 1 girl. So all 7 of them wrestled. And by the time it got to me, like we started wrestling. He started us a lot younger than when he started.
Yeah.
And I was chomping at the bit for a couple of years. My brother started,
Really?
yeah, my brother, he went out for it when he was, I think, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then we moved out of Allentown, and then he went out for it again. And when he went out for it the second time, he was 9, 9.5, 10, something like that. He's 2.5 years older than me. And I
Yeah.
was I was 7, and I told my dad I want to wrestle too. So he let us both go out. My brother quit. He pinned everyone he ever wrestled, but he hated it. He didn't like. He said, "I don't like touching people. I don't like
Hmm.
sweating, and I don't like working hard." So my dad's like, "Okay," but and I liked, oddly, I like all those things. I
I was gonna say you must
guess.
like it. So,
Yeah, it was a good fit for me.
yeah. Dang. Did you do any other sports also while you were growing up?
No, when I was young, I lifted weights a lot. I
Oh, okay.
like started pretty early on it. My dad was big time into lifting, and all his brothers. Um, like pretty big time. I think he would. My dad's 5'7", and when he got out of the Navy, he was 165 and could bench 375. He was pretty
Jeez.
pretty strong, and he could
Mhm.
curl 200. But he was like he said he'll say as a cheater, like he was leaning back, but
Nah.
still 200
Yeah,
pound
yeah, come
curl.
on.
He only weighed 165. That's ridiculous. So his whole family was kind of real into lifting weights, and so I
Yeah.
got into it. I would go down with him when I was in 3rd grade. He would be in the basement lifting, and I would try to lift. And he would let me do certain things, but once I got to 11 years old, like I had a weightlifting program that I figured
Mhm.
out with Muscle Fitness magazines that he had, and I
Wow.
asked him if I could do the program, and he's like, "You can lift 3 times a week." And
Okay.
then once I got to like eighth grade, he's like, "You can lift 4 times a week." And by 10th grade, I was lifting 6 days a week, and I benched 300 before I was 15. It was
Jeez.
yeah, and it was like some people can do one thing like that.
Mhm.
Um, like some football players at the high school that I see now can bench a lot, but they
Mhm.
can't go out and run real far, and they can't do pull-ups well. And like with wrestling, you kind of have to be able to do all of that stuff. You got to be
Mhm.
strong and have good endurance, and you got to be able to pull your body up pretty well, and
Yeah.
you got to be well rounded. So it was pretty cool. I like that strength training stuff quite a bit.
Mhm. So it sounds like you kind of figured that out at some point that, because at that time when you're thinking late 90s, early 2000s, there wasn't a whole lot out there, for information on weightlifting. Like bench was probably the thing that everyone was so obsessed with. How much can you bench? And so, how did you figure out that maybe you needed to do other exercises and lift weights in a different way to perform your best at wrestling, if that makes
Well,
sense?
I didn't figure that out until college.
Gotcha.
When I was
Okay.
in high school, my dad and his brothers, they read Muscle Fitness magazines, and they would
Yeah.
lift pretty much the way bodybuilders do. And
Yeah.
so that's what I was doing. But my dad wouldn't let me squat or deadlift.
Really?
He
Why
said,
not?
well, when I was young, I started young, and he
Hmm.
knew how I was. Like there were a lot, I would lift it by myself in the basement. So there were days when I got stuck with the bench on my chest.
Really?
Yeah, and like would be rolling it down my chest or dumping the weight off the side. And he's like, "You're a little bit, you're gonna do something. You're gonna hurt yourself if you
Yeah.
start."
Okay.
Because I was all like, I wanted to go heavier, heavier, heavier all the time.
Yeah.
So he got me a leg press machine. He said you could do as much as you want on that,
Okay.
and that
Fair.
worked out pretty well. I could when I was 16, I could leg press over 1,000.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but but he wouldn't let me squat and he wouldn't let me deadlift. And then when I got to college, power cleans were the big thing, like hang cleans, power cleans, squat,
Yeah.
deadlift, all that posterior chain core strength. And I was a little bit behind on some of that stuff because I had never done it. Like my legs were strong, but when I put the weight on my shoulders, the connection to my legs was a little bit weak and took some catching up.
Hmm.
But like my upper body was isolated, my upper body was very strong, and my legs isolated were very strong. But the connection, like my hips, from not doing
Interesting.
so, I would do that differently. Like if I have a kid that wants to get into sports, I'm going to have them do those exercises, just not heavy. But that way, it builds that connectivity from your base to your upper body.
Interesting.
So
So, I mean, did you get kind of picked on a little bit when you got to Lehigh and you were like, you're very strong and but like, your 33 pounders squatting more than you because they've been squatting for longer.
no, they didn't pick on me. I was just telling my wife a story about pull ups. We were competitive and we all bust each other's chops. But like
Yeah.
I remember having a competition with our 174 pounder, and he was telling me he could do more pull ups than me, and I told him I could do twice as many as him. And
Hmm.
so I challenged. He challenged me to it, and I said, "You first." And then he did 17, I did 34, and he dropped his head and walked out of the wrestling room. But no, we didn't.
No,
We
that's
worked
funny.
pretty. My favorite workout partner when I was at Lehigh for lifting was Mario Stewart. He was our 125 pounder, and
Really?
yeah, and the reason was everything he did. It was like he would go as hard as he could go. I'm like, this
Yeah.
guy looks like me. So we had to change the weight a lot,
Hmm.
when we were working out together. But we really pushed each other. He was fun to work out with, but nah, I didn't get picked on for that.
I
Other things maybe.
Yeah, I find that another reason why wrestling is a unique sport in that instance, what you just described. Like, how many other sports can you have that much of a very, like, a weight difference, but still have guys that are like connected and pushing each other, and it's just like vastly different. I don't know, like it's like different weights, different sizes, and it doesn't matter. It's like my favorite lifting partner was a guy 70 pounds lighter than me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a
Like,
neat sport. I think you look for someone who has the same intensity as you,
right.
and that will push you, and that you can push them, and they respond well to it, and it just builds the intensity up. And I don't know, Chris Vitale and Mario Stewart were two of my favorites. They just
Yeah.
run straight into the wall over and over and over again, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But
Yeah. So you ran straight into the wall too then, huh?
I tried, yeah. Like if you're not failing on the last couple reps, you're not lifting hard enough, right? You got to
Yeah.
recruit more motor units. You got to fail in order to grow.
True.
So,
Yeah. That's, I mean, honestly, that's a true statement. Like growth comes from failure. As
yeah,
much as it's, we hate that because nobody likes to fail, but that's when true growth happens.
yeah. I was told like, you ever hear that expression like when a woman there's a baby stuck under her car and the woman lifts the
Yeah.
car. Not sure that that actually happened, but um, I mean, it's kind of undeniable that sometimes you get like adrenaline and all of a sudden you're
Sure.
stronger than normal. So our brains impose like a regulator, like a governor on our bodies so we don't injure ourselves.
Hmm.
And when we go to lift something, our in our muscles we have like every there's like a bundle of muscle fibers that are connected to neurons in your brain, and it's called a motor unit, and your brain will fire only as much as it thinks it has to. And so if
Oh,
you fail, your brain says, okay, I need to recruit more motor units. I need to fire more. And so the more you fail, the more you recruit. So if you don't ever lift
interesting.
heavy, you're never going to lift heavier. You don't get stronger by lifting light. It just doesn't work that way. So it's kind of, there's like a lot of physiology to it. I read a lot about that stuff when I was young, and that's probably, I don't know, it made me a little bit wacky. I did some stupid things over the years, like physical feats, like challenges, and like when I was 35, Charlie Brenneman. You know Charlie Brenneman, the Spaniard.
Name
He
sounds
wrestled for
familiar.
Lock Haven, right?
Okay, there you
He's my
go.
age.
Okay.
He wrestled in Pennsylvania for Hollidaysburg. Then he went to Lock Haven, and then he fought in the UFC,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
He's called the
Yep.
Spaniard, and he's a high school teacher now, right? So, and he does. He's like a guest speaker at high schools, and he comes and talks to kids. Well, he came to Parkland. And when he came to Parkland, he's like, "Where's Jon Trenge?" And the principal's like, "Well, he's in his classroom teaching. Can I go talk to him? Show me where he is." So he came, and I got my students to excuse me for a minute, and I went in the hall and I was talking to him, and it took 2 minutes. And he's like, "What kind of workouts have you been doing?" And I shared a couple, and then he shared a couple, and then within a month, actually, it took 5 weeks. Within 5 weeks, I did 1,000 push-ups in 40 minutes because he gave me this idea:
Hmm.
set a timer, do a set of push-ups every minute, and the timer cycles. And so the goal is to get to 25 push-ups a minute and do it for 40 minutes straight. And then you did 1,000 push-ups in 40 minutes. So I did it every 4 days until I succeeded, and it was wild. I told my students, right, "You did what?" I was 35. I was like, "What the heck are you doing?" But that's the kind of mentality that wrestlers have, and I love it. It's pretty cool.
That's funny. Was he doing 1,000 push-ups
Yeah,
too?
he
Or
could do it.
yeah.
He could do it. Yeah.
Golly. Wow.
I think the hard, it wasn't when I did the 1,000, it actually wasn't the hardest one. Yeah, I was doing before school in the morning. I would do like a 20-minute set.
Hmm.
And the one day I was like feeling pretty good. And these aren't super strict push-ups like in the
Right. I
military
know what
where
you
it's
mean.
that goes too slow and you'll like cut into your time so much you don't have any time to recover. So I'm ripping out quick push-ups like wrestlers do to condition. And I felt pretty good. So I started doing sets of like 35, 40 per minute. And I got to 720 in 20 minutes. And that was a really good pump. Even though I didn't get 1,000, I did it in half the amount of time and I got like
Right.
almost three quarters. That was a good workout. But man,
Yeah.
you could get a wicked pump in just 20 minutes. And then you go to school and you're like, holy cow, you feel like you're somebody stuck an air pump in you and inflated your chest. Uh, anyhow,
No,
yeah,
that's funny, and that was interesting you said about the neurons and like your brain only pumps as much as it feels necessary, but and so when you fail, it's like, yeah, I need to I thought that was pretty fascinating, you
yeah.
know?
When you get adrenaline, it's your fight or flight mechanism, right, kicking in. And your adrenal gland will secrete this, and it basically turns off that governor, and it allows
Huh.
you to do your maximum so you can survive because there's an imposed threat, and your body says, "Okay, I'll take the risk of injuring myself, but I want to live." And so that's why people are always trying to get psyched up. But when you do, you run out of gas in like 2 or 3 minutes. You
Right.
can't sustain a 7 minute match if you get too fired up beforehand
Hmm.
because that's not meant for a 7 minute wrestling match. It's meant for a real quick fight.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But
And that's also probably why you only max, you do your max or try to reach your PR every so often. Like you can't obviously do that,
yeah, yeah,
every other lift, because it just your body also will need time to recover and from that
yeah.
adrenaline push.
They do a lot of, and I started doing this as I got older. Um, like the equation or you get one of those 1 rep max charts. Like if you're doing this amount of weight for this many reps, that means your 1 rep max would be this, and
Hmm.
you could follow these charts. And like when I was 40, I wanted to try to bench 400 and squat 5 and deadlift 5.
Yeah.
And um, to train, obviously, I've had both shoulders fixed already, so I don't want to be messing around with heavy weight all the time.
Right.
So I would put on like 315. And according to that chart, I had to be able to do it like 9 or 10 times. And that would equate to being able to do 400 for one. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And, that kind of thing. And you can train that way. It's more intelligent training because you won't get injured as often.
Yeah. Yeah. Because obviously that's when you get injured is when you have a lot of weight on there,
Yeah.
that you're horsing up one rep. Yeah. Like you're more
Yeah.
likely to get hurt. But yeah, fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And you're still into it, it sounds like, to this day,
I
to some
stopped
degree.
lifting. I stopped lifting real heavy because, well, when I was 40, I realized like I tweaked something in my neck, and then
Hmm.
I went to a doctor, and they took images of my spine, and they're like, "Dude, what are you doing to yourself?" So I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And so the guy, I had 11 bulging discs and one herniated disc in my back.
And you had
Had
no, like, didn't you feel this at all? Like,
I felt something in my neck, but what winds up happening, is very common for wrestlers, because like the location of the bulges. So in wrestling and in cycling, it's real common because our legs are vertical and then our back is tilted and then our head is up.
okay,
And so
yeah,
you're
yeah,
putting a kink, it's your L5 to your sacrum. So your
okay,
bottom lumbar, it goes up and then kinks this way. And
yep,
then at the base of your cervical spine, boom, your neck is trying to be upright. Now in wrestling,
yep,
it's worse because you have constantly people banging on your head.
yeah,
So I had a whole bunch of bulges there. I had a whole bunch down at the bottom, and then I had a couple in the middle for some reason in my thoracic. And then my hip was arthritic. Well, both my hips are arthritic and bone spurs, and so yeah, I've beaten the crap out of my body. But um, the doctor basically said, well, they told me to stop running, stop doing plyometrics. I used to like doing all that jumping stuff. I could box
yeah,
jump pretty good for a big guy. Um, but they basically told me if you keep doing that stuff, you're going to need a hip replacement before you're 50. And that's
wow,
kind of dumb.
yeah, right,
So I kind of switched my training. I do work out and stuff, but like my favorite thing probably to do now is cycle. I like to get on a road bike,
okay,
and I've been biking a lot since I was a kid. And I like going around here. There's a lot of hills. They're not mountains. They're not real
yeah,
big, but you can find a lot of hills that go up 200 or 300 feet, and then you drop
yeah,
back down and go up another one, and
yeah,
you can get like 6 or 10 of those in a quick hour ride, which is a
nice,
pretty good. It's a pretty good workout and a pretty good heart rate interval workout.
yeah,
So
yeah. So do you like bike to Bend still? Just like
No,
no matter
actually,
where he lives.
Ben lives in Massachusetts now, but
Well,
his
hey,
parents live
okay,
in
we're
the
biking
same
to
house.
Massachusetts then, I guess.
Yeah. I did get to go fishing with him on opening day. He came down to go fishing. So
Nice.
I'm still friends with him, and that's pretty cool. But
Yeah, definitely. Just a little
yeah,
too far to bike, I guess.
yeah, it's too far to bike for sure. But
Well, it's not. I mean, I bet if you wanted to, you could probably do it.
yeah, I mean, it would take probably a week.
A week? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I could do like 60 miles a day or so.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many miles it is up there, but yeah, I don't think I'd want to do that though. Some people, do you hear some stories about people biking across the country? That's
Right.
nuts. Yeah, that's too you know, for someone with a little bit of back and neck issues. Like for a while, I had to adjust my bike. I had to put a neck extension on there because when I cycle to keep my head up, it was pinching things in my neck and my hands would go numb. And if I put my head, just drop my chin down, I could instantly feel my hands again. I pick it back up and it pinches the nerves and they go numb again. So I had to like raise the neck of like the handlebars of my bike and drop this. So I'm not very aerodynamic. I'm not going to win.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to win any races or anything,
Gotcha.
but you can get a good workout without any impact on a bike. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I bet, it probably looks a little goofy the way you're riding, now that you're kind of explaining it, like your,
I'm
handlebars are
not up
higher.
that
Like,
high, but
oh,
for
okay.
so my old assistant coach races and he's really good on a bike and
Yeah.
he said I forget what oh, he said for Christ's sake, Trenge, why don't you just fly a kite behind you to hold he goes because when he gets in behind me,
Yeah.
he could blow me away, but every now and then he'll let me go in the lead. And when he
Yeah.
goes behind me, he's like, I don't even feel any wind back here because it's like there's a wall in front of me because he's like 135 pounds or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's like 60 years old and he can blow me away on a bike.
Is
But
there like a bike race or something? So like, I'm from Iowa and we have I can't believe I can't think of it right now, but where we can bike across the state. It's every July, So I didn't know if they had anything like that in Pennsylvania. Like,
I don't know of it. What my old coach does. He's the head coach, Jim Best. He's the head coach for Emmaus High School. They had a pretty good year this year. Really good coach. But anyway, he
that's where you
wrestled
were
for
helping,
NC
right? You were
State.
you were helping there, right?
I only went down a
Yeah.
handful of times for
Okay.
practice, but um, anyway, he does what are called crit races.
Okay.
So they're road races, but um, it's usually a track and you repeat. And then like every third lap, they'll ring a bell, and then you
Oh.
get points for first, second, and third coming across the line those laps,
Hmm.
and you ride as a team. So he had a team of I think 5 guys, and they take their best sprinter and they tuck them in and hide them from the wind, and
Yeah.
then they try to jockey for position so that when the bell
Whoa.
goes off, that guy can come out and sprint.
Yeah.
So, and their
Hmm.
team last year in their league, their team won, and their sprinter got first place overall. So he said he did
Wow.
his job. He's
Yeah.
kind of like the fullback. He's one of the guys who paves the way for him, and the other guys paved the way for this world champion sprinter guy.
Dang.
But pretty cool. I don't do
Yeah.
any of that stuff. I
No,
just
okay.
I just bike for fun.
Yeah. The race in Iowa, it's not really a race, but it's called Ragbri. I had to say that because if people from Iowa are listening, they're gonna be like, how do you forget that, Kelby? And I'm like, shoot.
Yeah,
So yeah. Um,
that's cool.
so you ended up going to Lehigh and you said it was only like 15 minutes away. Was it like
It's like a half-hour drive. It's only 15
okay.
miles. Yeah, it's close. You got Allentown, then Bethlehem, then
Yeah.
Easton. So it's literally the next city over,
Yeah.
and it's pretty close. But
Was it like was it because it was close? That's a big reason why you went?
kind of, yeah. I have a big family. I have a lot of cousins
Right.
and
You have
aunts,
what? Your
aunts and
dad's one of
uncles.
8, you said?
Yeah, and I'm pretty close with my dad, and I wanted him to be able to keep coming to my matches.
Yeah.
And then also Strobel was there, and I knew he was a big time freestyle coach.
Yeah.
So and actually Joel Sharrett. who was Air Force for a little bit, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yep.
So Joel Sharrett was he was the volunteer assistant when I
Okay.
signed with Lehigh, and he had been an Iowa national champion
Yeah.
at 190, and I figured this is perfect. And then I
Yeah.
signed with them, and then Sharrett left, and I don't know if he went straight to. I think Sharrett went with Bruce Burnett to Naval Academy, and
Yeah,
then went to Air Force.
correct. That sounds right.
Um,
Yes.
so my freshman year and my second year, no, it's just my freshman. My freshman year, they did not have a big guy coach. And then they got my second year, my redshirt freshman year, Kerry McCoy came in.
Nice.
So, but I had a lot of really good workout partners my freshman year. Rob Roan, Sean
Yeah.
Laughlin, John Van Dorn, a lot of good guys in there
Yeah.
that were, it was plenty. I didn't need
Right.
Kerry McCoy there that first year.
Right.
By the second year, I kind of needed him there.
Yeah.
So I was starting to get a little bit better, and some of the like John Van Dorn was gone, Mark Dufresne was gone. Like I had half the amount of partners, and I was
Yeah.
now not a fresh out of high school kid.
Yeah.
So, but it was good. It was a good
Yeah.
situation, I think.
Yeah. Was it difficult to get into Lehigh in terms of academically? Like I feel like it's not an Ivy League per se, but it's like almost as close to an Ivy
It's
as you
it's
can without
it's
being
pretty
called an
much
Ivy.
as I think it's as hard. Sorry, my computer's getting hot here. I have it sitting on a pillow. I think it's about as hard to get in to as an Ivy. Like the average when I was there, the average incoming SAT score out of 1600 was a 1310, and that made me feel like I was going to fail out.
Yeah.
I had an 1180,
Yeah.
and now I think the average incoming SAT score is closer to 1400, which is pretty freaking high.
Yeah.
It's pretty competitive. But as an athlete, the way that kind of works, I coached there a little bit, and we would go and meet with the head of admissions, the dean
Yeah.
of admissions, and they would say, "Okay, can I see your list?" And we'd have a list of the kids we were recruiting, and they would go, "Okay, which ones do you want a scholarship?" And then we would tell them, and then we had to calculate what's called an academic index. Basically, it's a value placed dependent upon their GPA and SAT score or ACT score. And it
Yeah.
basically tells you school performance plus test performance. Here's where the kid's at. And Lehigh has like a floor, and then they have a floor if you want to get financial aid. And then they have like, you need above this to get an academic scholarship. Now, if you're going to full ride a kid, they can go a little bit below the floor, but
Right.
you have to pay full ride. And that admissions basically said, I actually asked, I was sitting there with Strobo. I said, why do we have to full? They said, we can get this kid in. You really want this kid? And we said, yeah, we want him. And I can't say his name because,
That's fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
his AI was not very good. It was below what he was supposed to be able to get in. And Strobel said, no, we absolutely want him.
Yeah.
And they said, if you don't give him a full ride, we're not letting him in. And I said,
Yeah.
well, how does that work? And they said, if you're willing to give one of your 9.9 scholarships to this kid, we believe that you're going to make sure they don't fail out,
Yeah, true. True.
And I was like, okay, yeah, if we're willing to invest, they're willing to go with it. So that's kind of how that worked. And they said, we'll let that person if you're going to full ride them, but then you need to take three names off this list. So they kind of like wheel and deal with you. And
Right.
it's like, oh man, that sucks. So uh, I didn't have an issue with an 1180 and I had a 3.3 GPA. I was a full ride guy. So it was kind of, I was about at what you would need to qualify for financial aid. I was
Mhm.
like right about that level. And then there's a whole nother level below that where you can't get financial aid if your grades aren't good enough, but you could still get in if you're full ride. So I was
Gotcha.
somewhere. I was kind of like a normal high school student.
Yeah.
B plus. I think a 3.3 is a B plus average, and close to 600 out of 800 on the math and the reading.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really applying myself. My parents
Yeah.
didn't go to college. All they told me, my dad told me, John, get A's and B's so you can go to college, go to a good school. I'm like, okay. So I got all
Yeah.
A's and B's.
Yeah.
And then at college, Strobel told us, get a 3.0 so you can get into grad school without taking your GREs. So I got a 3.0. Yeah, so I kind of did what I had to with school
Yeah.
until until grad school. Then I started to apply myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Did you know you wanted to go to Lehigh? Because it sounds like a school like that is almost one that I feel like you kind of like the Air Force Academy, and you have to sort of plan for that. You can't just wake up a junior or whatever and be like, all right, you know what? I think I want to go to Lehigh. Let's check it out. Like you kind of have to almost set yourself up and plan that you're going to go there. Was that the case with you?
yeah, it was. So
Okay.
I was part of a club there when I was 11, 12, and 13 years old.
Yeah.
And it was the volunteer coach. Tom Hutchinson was the head coach at Lehigh at that point, and he had hired Sergey Beloglazov, who was
Okay.
he was running a kids club. So when I was 11, 12, and 13, that's who I learned my throws from and stuff. So I had like it was phenomenal, and I recognized that as a young kid, like this guy's unbelievable. And I was in the wrestling room in the spring and in the fall twice a week, and seeing all the names on the wall and studying the names on the wall. And I wrote a little paper, as long as papers get when you're in
Yeah.
sixth. But it was, what do you want to do when you get older? And it was, I want to be a state champion and get a full ride to Lehigh and be a national champion and be on a world team. So I kind of knew pretty young what I wanted to try to do. And
Yeah.
that helped a lot because every
Sure.
time there was like a fork in the road, I would take the one that points more towards that direction. If there's a choice, like, hey,
Sure.
you could go out partying on the weekend, or you can work out and go to a wrestling tournament. I'm taking the path that was going to lead me closer to my goal.
Yeah.
Um, I was fortunate. We had a club in our area called Talon Wrestling Club, and a guy named Pat Tossi ran it. It's not the Pat Tossi that's affiliated with Sanction PA Girls Wrestling in Pennsylvania, and like,
Yeah, I was gonna say because I
but
think his son is on our team, Nico. Pat, like
okay,
that
yeah,
Pat Tassi that you're
yes,
talking about.
okay. So that Pat Tossi's father ran my club. So Nico's dad was at Brown University when I was in the club.
Oh my
and
gosh,
and
really?
and his dad actually came back, and I remember him teaching headlocks and arm throws and stuff the one day as the guest clinician. But his father, Pat Tossi Sr., ran Talon Wrestling Club, and it was
Oh,
like the
kidding.
best club ever back then.
Yeah,
Clubs now are out of control with the stuff
yeah,
that they do,
yeah.
but back then it was really good. One night of the week, it was just all wrestling and reviewing. And then the other night, he would bring in a multiple time All American or multiple time national champion. He had Wade Chalice in there.
Huh.
He had so many people in there. That's where I met Joel Sharrett for the first time.
Yeah,
But all the Lehigh coaches would come in, the Lock Haven coaches. There's a lot of colleges. Pennsylvania's benefit or advantage in wrestling, I think. Like how many Division One programs are there in Iowa?
three.
Three. And Pennsylvania has like 13,
Yeah,
and a lot of them are on the eastern side. So it's really dense with like college wrestling and college coaching. And back before the internet, if you wanted to see college wrestling, you had to go to it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it was very easy to go to Lehigh and watch matches.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think a lot of the programs in our area got good because of that. So it was pretty neat. Um, on any given night back then, that club would have multiple, like a handful of state champions in it, because it
Jeez.
had Easton, Nazareth, Phillipsburg, Parkland, Northampton. All those teams went to that club. So anyway, that club, Joel Sharrett came, or not Joel Sharrett, Wade Chalice came, and he talked to us about setting goals and stuff the one night. And I went
Yeah.
home, did what he said, and wrote everything down. And I was in fifth or sixth grade when that happened, and it kind of like altered my trajectory, you know,
Yeah.
and gave me a mission where a lot of young kids, they don't have that. People
Right.
say like chase your dreams or you know follow your passion, and I'm not sure that's the right thing to advise kids to do, because most of the time their passion should be a hobby. It shouldn't be what they do for a living, because it might not make any money. Like
Mm,
for me, wrestling wasn't going to make me any money. Now wrestling could have, if I would wrestle now, I
right.
probably would have made quite a bit of money. But
Sure.
when I was going through, I knew it was going to make me money. So my dad and I kind of knew like we're going to use wrestling to get the best college education possible.
Yeah.
and do it to the most of my capability, and then try to get a decent job afterwards. So I really like science, so I picked teaching science so that I could still coach wrestling too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what led me to where I am,
Yeah.
um, and I like it. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. So
So what did you major at then in Lehigh?
environmental science.
Okay.
Yeah. So earth and environmental science, and then I
Yeah.
teach earth science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But and then after I graduated and I got the coaching job there, I got my master's in education.
Nice.
And then once I was done with that, I left Lehigh. That was about when the transition from Strobel to Santoro occurred.
Yeah.
And with the changing of the guard, I had just finished my master's and got a job at Parkland. So I left coaching college to go to teaching and coaching high school. So
But that was a big difference.
it's a lot, you know, there's a lot less stress actually.
Yeah.
Because when you coach high school, as long as you do the right stuff, you're not going to get fired. You're not going to lose your livelihood. But in
Yeah.
college, what happened the one year that I was at Lehigh, we had a really good recruiting class, but a bunch of the kids like made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
You're talking like 18, 19-year-old kids, and they were
Yeah, of
getting in
course.
trouble and they were doing stupid stuff. And, all of a sudden people are talking about like letting coaches go and
Right.
hiring someone new. I'm like, what? We didn't do anything wrong. It's a
Yeah.
bunch of kids, but that's how college is. Like, you're responsible for your athletes, and that's kind of
Mhm.
challenging.
Yeah.
So,
Did you like when you were going into Lehigh and you got accepted and you saw the room, did you realize how talented that room was?
um, yeah, I think so. I mean, I
Mhm.
came home after the first practice,
Yeah.
and my high school coach was awesome. He was a really good coach. His name was Jon Trenge. He wrestled at East Stroudsburg, but his dad was a coach at West York, Pennsylvania, and they were just great people, but very knowledgeable with wrestling.
Yeah.
And I was taught really good technique from all through high school. So the technique that I learned in college didn't really change much.
Hmm, okay.
What changed was I wasn't the only state champ in the room there.
Yeah.
So now, and all the goes, like Strobel in the beginning of the year did longer goes to build volume
Hmm.
and aerobic base and give you time to like workshop technique. And then as the season goes on, the live goes get shorter and shorter, and everything's more match specific and situation specific. So
Yeah.
the first practice we went in, we had our live was 4 10-minute goes. The second practice was 4 15-minute goes. The third practice was 2 30-minute goes. And the fourth practice was a 1 hour go.
Jesus.
And after the first one, everyone I wrestled that first day was multiple time state champ.
Yeah.
And I did okay, but it was like I didn't want to ever get scored on. Like my senior year, I don't know if I ever got taken down by a high school kid in practice or in matches.
Yeah.
And so I go to college, and all of a sudden people are scoring on me, and I was going so hard. I came home and I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I don't know if I could do this. He goes, What are you talking about? I said, that was the hardest practice I ever did. And tomorrow is going to be harder. He goes, What do you mean? I said, We did 4 10-minute goes. Tomorrow is 4 15-minute goes. And I'm used to like 5 minute goes or less.
Right.
And these guys are really good. He's like, Hey, I said, Why? He goes, Are they doing it? I said, Yeah. And he goes, If they could do it, you can do it. And that was kind of what got me by. So I would like look around. And I'm like, okay, if they're doing it, I had too much pride to say I can't do what they can
Right.
do. So if they're doing it, I'm doing it. And it took a little bit. That freshman year coming into college is such a knock on the chin sometimes if you come into a
Yeah.
tough program. But it took me a few weeks, and that's pretty quick, I would say, to acclimate to it. Some
Yeah.
guys come in
Sure.
and they don't sniff a takedown for months, and
Right.
it's like it totally breaks you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew as soon as I started working out there, it's like, whoa. But the on the upside, once I started going into open tournaments, like the New York AC tournament was right
Yeah.
around Christmas time. So in that couple months from, practices are starting to Christmas time, all right, I had gone from being basically a high school kid to the first match at the New York Athletic Club tournament. Now it's freestyle, and they're like, "Do you want to go?" I said, "Yeah." And so they took Pat Santoro took me up there, and I beat some guy like 5-2. And Pat's like, I came off the mat, and he's like, "Do you know who that was?" I was like, "No." He goes, "That guy got third in the NCAA last year for Penn, like Andre Radzienko or something like that." I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." Like, so right away, I was already right in the mix
Yeah.
after about a month. So that was pretty cool to see how it was paying off, and then I kind of
Yeah.
walked right into it.
Yeah. Does Lehigh, do they have red shirts?
Yeah, yeah, you can
Okay.
register.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that what it means by when you deferred your eligibility? Because that's what
yep,
it, okay.
yeah,
I was wondering. I didn't know if it meant that that was a redshirt year or if you
yep.
like, okay.
If you defer eligibility like that, it's just an academic red shirt, they call it. Like you're
Gotcha.
focusing on grades, kind of.
Yeah.
And then I did an Olympic red shirt. In 2004, I moved to Colorado Springs for 10 months and tried
Yeah.
out Olympics and stuff. Um, and that was a really good experience. I think, possibly it may have hurt me as far as my performance, and I think it hurt our team because that year may have been the best shot we had at placing the
Mhm.
highest.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the alumni I think were upset with me for that, but it was a dream that I had since I was like 11 or 10 years old. And with my goggles and the amount of concussions I was having, I didn't think that I was going to wrestle until 2008. So I kind of owed it to myself. Like, I don't want to wrestle folk style all year and then train like 3 weeks and go to the US Open. So I did it, and it is what it is. But I don't regret it. I learned a ton and met a lot of great people. But I think it kind of hurt our team a little bit. And then when I came back, I was really banged up. I was a whole year older. You're starting to
Mhm.
see this thing now. I wrestled a lot when I was young, and I
Yeah.
trained really, really hard, like
Yeah.
stupid stuff. Um, and now with the internet and being able to watch all these high level guys, young kids are doing more and more workouts that are similar to what college used to be. You have high school coaches that are running workouts that are college level. They're running year round training, year round weightlifting, going off tournaments all over the place. And what you see is like kids are coming to college prepared freshman year. And
Yeah.
then by the time they're old, especially if they redshirt a few times, they're banged up and they have
Yeah.
injuries left and right, and they can't hang in there for a whole season anymore.
Yeah.
And I think there's a trend of like younger guys doing better now, where it used to
Yeah.
be like, oh, this guy's a senior, that kid's a freshman. That doesn't
Mhm.
matter anymore. First of all, these freshmen are like 20 years old. They're not 18 or 17
Yeah.
like they used to be. And, they've got thousands of matches under their belt. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, and now like you have people like yourself, okay, for example, who maybe looking back would do things differently. And so with
Yeah.
that knowledge, they're like, hey, here's maybe where I misstepped. And so you're pouring that knowledge into the kids who are coming up and almost, diverting them from the mistakes that you made. So they are a little fresher, but like
Mhm.
100%, man, when you see people go through college, just watch the tournament, like the freshmen, they don't have any braces, they're fine. And all of a sudden they're seniors and they got shoulder brace, they got a knee brace,
Yeah.
whatever. Like they're all like, oh my God, they're just like stitched together.
Yeah. And that's not even like some of the injuries that happen are invisible. Like you can't
Right.
see it. Look, you don't see them. Like
Yeah.
I've had in my college career, I think I had stitches on my face 20 times. A lot of concussions. They wouldn't have let me. I have the all-time win record at Lehigh.
Yeah.
I'll probably have that forever because now they don't let you wrestle through a concussion anymore. You're sitting out. You're missing matches. They
Yeah.
would just, the one match my jaw came out, that dislocated my jaw, and they
Ooh.
reset my jaw. put me right back out there, and I didn't even step on the line. And the ref told me, like, you got to come forward, you got to step on the line. And I moved my foot a couple inches, and he's like, a little more. And yeah, he had to like help me put my foot on the line. They let me finish the match. The concussion happened in the first period. And then I wound up getting cut. My timing was so off. Somehow I won the match 8-9. And yeah, it was just like, and then Strobel he always used to joke around and tell me I was really good on autopilot because I could get hit in the head and banged up and like not be able to hold a conversation, but I could still wrestle. It was, it was like,
I'm like thinking about that.
so
Like, is that like is that good? Is
I
that
guess
a
it's a
compliment?
compliment. I don't know. I guess it's a compliment, but um, yeah. And so as you get older, those things happen easier and easier.
Yeah.
Concussions happen. By the time I started like coaching, between my eyes and the goggles and the concussions, like the guys that I coach, they won't club my head the way they club other people's heads because they know. Like, okay, for example, I was coaching my first year coaching at Parkland. I showed a sweep single, and when
Yeah.
the side of my neck hit the guy's thigh, I got
Yeah.
knocked down. I just
Like,
collapsed, gave myself a
gee.
concussion because as you get them, they happen easier and easier, right, apparently. There's
Yeah.
some statistic to it. I don't know how the heck they figure that out, but I think I've had more than 12.
Wow.
So if my career now would be over.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. And that's, I think the longer you wrestle, those things are going to happen,
Right. Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
bang yourself up.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about your a couple of those things. One was your freshman year, your redshirt freshman year, with the detached retina. I mean, that had to be probably pretty scary. I mean, when did you start to realize that you were having an issue with your eye? Or right, was it just the right eye?
Yeah. So my right
Okay.
eye. So it was after all the dual meets of the year. And our
Yeah.
last weekend of the year, we wrestled West Point,
Yeah.
Bristol, and Penn. And we had one of them was I think one was Friday night, and then the other two were like back to back on Sunday or something.
Yeah.
And I strained part of my quad. My freshman year, I cut a good amount of weight. I lifted like crazy. My dad had me convinced my redshirt year I wasn't going to be big enough, so I got really big and strong.
Yeah.
And then I had a really hard time making 197. I was super lean
Really?
freshman year. Yeah, I'd walk around like I ate really well and everything, but I had to run a lot that year, and I had my hip flexors were getting so tight from wrestling and running, and I strained something. So after the matches, I finished all the matches, and I beat a kid named Mike Fickle, I think from Penn, who wound up, I think he got sixth in the country. He was the EIW champ. Had a good weekend, and then didn't wrestle. We had off. Coach gave us off on Monday, and then
Hmm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Jack Foley, the trainer, had me doing workouts in the pool,
Yeah.
and we were trying to get me like recovered, so I get one couple day training cycle in before EIWAs. Well, then on Friday, he put me through a interval workout in the pool, and then afterwards, I got out of the pool and we were walking back to the training room. And I said, Jack, can you look in my eye? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I think there's something in my eye. He goes, like what? He's like, what? I said, I think there's something in my eye. I can't see from here up. Like if I look at your nose, I can't see your face from there up. And he said, say that again. I said, it's like someone pulled a black curtain down halfway through my eye. Is there something in there? And I'm going like this. And he just grabbed me by the arm and got real calm. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Because I recognized the let's not panic voice. Like, okay, that's
Right.
okay. Walk with me. And he took me down to the training room. He said, stay here, get dressed. Don't don't move around. Just stay on the table. I'm like, Jack, what do you I'm fine.
Right.
And then he made some calls and he took me to a specialist. And that guy looked in my eye and said, what do you play ball? I said, no, I wrestle. And he's like, not anymore, you don't. I'm like, what? And he's like, you have three retinal tears. They're like a hairline from your macula. If it tears through that, you're blind in your right eye pretty much forever. And you'll never be better. You'll never, you'll be legally blind in that eye with any kind of correction. You're done. He goes, you could step off a curb too hard and tear that past your macula and you're blind in that eye. So he goes, your wrestling career's over. So right then,
Oh,
boom, meltdown. And I
yeah.
got I got yelled at the guy because he was like kind of laughing when he said it. He's like, not anymore, you don't. And I was like, what? Who the hell are you? So I got up and I was like, I said to Jack sitting there, I was like, who the F does this guy think he is? And then I just walked out and slammed the door. And then I went out in the hall and I had my cell phone with me and I called my dad and just had a meltdown. Like, Dad, they told
Yeah.
me I'm done wrestling. I can never wrestle again. So I think that was at like maybe 3 o'clock. I had surgery at 8 o'clock that night. And then, the plan was you can't wrestle anymore. So I'm like, I remember it, and it was fine with certain, my parents rushed down there, Strobel was there, whatever. And then I get the surgery and they had to do all kinds of stuff to my eye. And when I woke up, I was alone in the hospital room and I had a patch on my eye and I was like, they had me laying face down with my head in this like donut hole thing.
Yeah.
And I got up and I pulled the thing off my hand. I walked over to the bathroom and I pulled um, the little patch up, and
Yeah.
my eye looked like a meatball. I could see it looked like a meatball. I could
Yeah.
see anything. It was all hemorrhaged. And then I started dry heaving. And then I went and I called my dad again. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'd rather wrestle with one eye than not wrestle anymore. Like, I don't
Wow.
care if I go blind. And so that was that. And then very quickly, very quick, 6 weeks later, I went to the 20 and under world trials and won. And then that summer went to Uzbekistan and wrestled and then came back. And it was like Lehigh didn't know what to do with it, right?
Right.
They were just kind of like, this guy's wrestling anyway. Well, it's freestyle. What can we do? I was just
Right.
doing it on my own. And then when I came back my sophomore year, I was like 14-0 or something like that. And I hit a misdirection on a kid at practice. And like I juked him pretty good. And his hands came out and his finger went right in my eye. And
No.
I jumped back. And I wasn't wearing goggles or anything. I was
Yeah.
just wrestling, figuring hell with it. And then I saw a big black spot. And I'm like, oh no. So I went and told Jack. Then I had to go back to the hospital. Then Lehigh said, you can't wrestle anymore unless you cover your eyes.
Okay.
So I missed the
Okay.
Sheridan duels or something. I missed 3 matches in the time that I was trying to find something I could wear to wrestle.
Mhm.
And then we figured that out and I kept wrestling. But
How'd you figure it out? Because, like, yeah, where did you know where to look to find even
well,
doctors?
I had a really good athletic trainer. Jack Foley and I became real close. He was like a
Yeah.
second dad. We drove all over the place, going to different specialists. We had one guy made a face shield that cost like $700. That didn't work. We tried all kinds of stuff, and then ultimately he found these rec specs, and I put them on, and then I would put the headgear on, but they would move all over the place.
Yeah.
So my dad's like, let me, and I had two pairs of them, two pairs of the rec specs. My dad said, let me see a pair of those rec specs. And he went out in the garage and took a dog collar and took the headgear apart and wove the collar through there and sewed it up. And he's like, come here. And then he got the other side, pulled it tight, and then sewed it. And now it was really hard to get on because the straps are all over and in the front.
Yeah.
But once it was on, it didn't freaking move. I'm like, I can wear this to wrestle. And then about 2 years later, Tom Scully, who's with Brute Adidas,
Yeah.
um, I talked to Tom, and he goes, "How's that headgear?" Because it was a Brute headgear. He goes, "How's the headgear working out for you?" I said, "Well, it's good, but once that strap gets sweaty, it stretches." And then the goggles start going like this,
Okay.
and they move. It's like everything's moving. I can't see right.
Yeah.
Everything's all over the place, right? So, and they're not prescription or anything, but he put a Velcro strap in the back for me. So I could, halfway through the match, I could undo it and tighten it
Yeah.
once they
Yep.
get wet. And that helped quite a bit. So I never had an issue with that except against Michigan. The one kid was undoing it in the match. He collar tied me and he was unstrapping the Velcro. The ref caught him and gave me a point. But I was like, he's undoing. I'm collar tied to them. I'm going like this, and the ref stopped it. Gave.
Yeah.
But what a trip, man.
Yeah.
Forever
Wow.
pain.
And nothing since you've been fine ever since?
No, I detached my left from coach in high school. So I had to go through all the stuff that I did with my right eye with my left eye,
Okay.
but I wasn't competing. So it
Yeah.
was, I was teaching and coaching and stuff. But
But with your
um,
right eye, you've been fine with your right eye
yeah, it's fine. I wear
for the most
goggles
part, I
when
guess.
I mean, it's terrible vision. Like
Yeah.
my vision is real bad, minus 19.25. But yeah, it hasn't detached since, so that's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, man, so I mean, I can't imagine hearing those words like you're like, yeah, you're done. Like,
Yeah, that sucked.
I mean, holy cow. Like, I don't know if I would be angry to an extent because like clearly you weren't. Like, I just felt like that was, I don't know. It seems like that was just kind of the easy solution. Well, don't wrestle
Yeah.
anymore. You're done. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
hold on there. Like, I don't
I
know.
mean, think about like I guess if I could equate it to something, at that point I was 20. I was 20
Yeah.
years old and or like 19, 20. And I've been wrestling since I was in seventh grade. And since I was 10, I had been wrestling. Well, yeah, since I was 10, I'd been wrestling all year round.
Yeah.
And like all the people I knew, all my friends' parents, that like all the people I associated with were because of wrestling.
Yeah.
Everything I did was because of wrestling. And so to hear that was kind of like it would be like if you had like a wife and kids and somebody told you you're never going to see them again. It's kind of like, wait, like I don't even know what's my life going to be. It's like it's my
Right.
whole life. It's just gone. And like once that set in, and it kind of sucked because I was in a hospital room by myself when it
Right.
happened. And I woke up and I looked at my eye and I was just like, and I had thought about what the doctor said the night before, and I was like, so I called my dad and told him like, I'm gonna wrestle anyway. He's like, no, you don't have to. I said, no, I'm gonna. Like,
Hmm.
I don't care. I'm gonna keep wrestling. And that's a stupid thing to do, but it's what I wanted to do in the moment
Yeah.
and in the time. I'm glad I did because it worked out okay, but it could have gone badly, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
So
But at least it seemed like you guys did a lot to make sure that you did it as safely as possible. It's not like you were like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to wrestle and not protect myself. Like you really tried to make sure that, you were
yeah,
doing it as safely as possible. So like kudos to that. I mean, and that was what, 2002? Like we
2000,
for yeah,
2001,
2000,
2001,
2001.
yeah,
Like we forget what it was like 25 years ago. I
yeah.
mean, this was probably not something people had ever seen, you know?
No, well, not too much in boxing and basketball.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's why they attached the thumb of the glove to the main part because people
Okay.
used to thumb each other in the eye in
Oh,
boxing.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so but when you're getting that impact, um, it kind of jolts your eye and your retina is sort of rigid and it can tear. I don't know how
Yeah.
mine apparently had three tears and then it started to like wallpaper. It was pulling
Yeah.
off the back of my eye. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
Could have happened a million different ways. Jumping in the
Right.
Febreze when I was a kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Um, well, yeah, and your time at Lehigh, like, I was going to ask about taking that Olympic red shirt because I feel I forget who I talked to about that team, and how that team was on the precipice really of winning it,
yeah,
and if they would have had you there, it very well could have made a difference. And like, I don't judge you at all for doing what you thought was the right move for yourself, like, hey,
yeah,
that was your one shot, really, unfortunately, and you had to do what you had to do. Like, I can see why people might be like, oh man, John, we had this great team. I think I talked to Troy Letters about it. Yeah, I talked to Troy, and he was like,
yeah.
you know. John, we
Yeah, I
could have
mean,
probably won it. And it was so, well,
yeah.
sorry. Let me just ask how that conversation happened with yourself and the team. It's a roundabout way of me asking that, I guess.
I mean, it was something that I kind of decided a while before that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's been my freshman year. I got to go out to the training center and train for a week.
Nice.
And then I went out the next year. And I was kind of, and when I was out there, I talked to some people who were involved in USA Wrestling.
Yeah.
And the one woman, her name is Sarah Levin. She's like, if you're really into freestyle or Greco, this is the place to train.
Sure.
And she told me that um, we're going to have a new resident athlete coach that you're going to want to be here for. And I was like, well, who's that? And she's like, well, I'm not allowed to tell people yet, but I might write it on my napkin. So we're sitting in the dining hall, and she wrote on her napkin and then left the table, and it wrote 2004 resident athlete coach Sergey Beloglazov. And I was like, I'm taking an Olympic redshirt year because it was my
Wow.
club coach
Yeah.
from 11, 12, 13. So I moved out there, and him and Kevin Jackson were the two coaches. So it was kind of like something that the stars felt like they were aligning for that.
Right. For
And
sure.
I don't regret it. I learned a ton of stuff. I learned a whole lot of stuff out there. Um, but I think a lot of people at Lehigh feel like I kind of let them down a little bit. I don't know.
Did you
Um,
feel like that at some point? Like at points throughout the season when you watched them competing and saw their success? I mean, were there points where you felt like that too internally that maybe like obviously like I wish I could be out there. I am letting them down a little bit. Did you ever feel like that?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
That's
bit.
only natural, I figured, but
I mean, yeah, it's tough because wrestling is a team. If it was like baseball or basketball, I wouldn't have left, because then it
yeah.
really is a team sport. But wrestling ultimately is an individual sport. So if you have somebody training for a national title, they're going to go whatever weight they are going to be a national champion. They're not going to, they shouldn't look at who their teammates are and bump up a weight for their team. No, if you have the ability to achieve something great, you go try to do it. And your team, if it winds up being great, is great, and if it suffers, it suffers.
Yeah.
But I would have thought like the same thing. Like if Letters took that, I don't think he was as into freestyle. But if he would have taken an Olympic red shirt, I wouldn't have judged him for a second.
Yeah.
It's you've got to pursue your goals, you know. And you know, I think some other things went wrong. Is that the year that Cooperman didn't make weight, or is that the following? No, I think that was the year Cooperman didn't make weight, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't yeah. Yeah, I don't see him here.
Yeah, I think he was seated fourth, and he cut weight wrong, and then I don't think he made the weight, and I think he had made it to like I can't remember. He won a few matches, but the second day, I think he failed to make weight or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, he got seventh that year.
Oh, maybe that's not the year then. No, the year he didn't make weight, he didn't make weight at all. He didn't wrestle. Maybe it was my senior year. I can't remember.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is
They're
with
all
like
mixed.
Mario Stewart got fourth as unseeded guy,
Yeah,
unseeded got fourth, Cooperman. Yeah.
Frick, I think, did well that year. So I couldn't have foreseen Mario All Americaning. Um, I don't think. I think Travis Frick may have that year as well as a freshman. I'm pretty sure he was All
Yeah.
American as a freshman and a
Yeah.
senior,
He
and
got
that was
eight
unexpected.
and Brad Dillon got fourth. Like,
That
yeah,
I would have expected Brad to All
yeah.
American, I think, and Cooperman and Letters, but some of the others were sort of a surprise.
Yeah.
Like going into the like my senior year, going in 2005, going into the season, we were seated ranked second in the country.
Yeah.
That's a different scenario. I think going into the 2004 year, we were not ranked that high. We may have been ranked somewhere around 10th, but a bunch of
Gotcha.
those guys peaked really well. Strobel was very good at tapering at the right time, and a lot of those guys outperformed what they were supposed to do significantly, and that put us on the map. But
Gotcha. So also to your point, what you just said, like it's not like '04 was lightning in a bottle. I mean, it was in a little sense that like you placed, some people outplaced their, what they were expected to do. But 2005 was also an opportunity that you guys could have seized as well. It's not like
Right,
'04 was it. So, you
right.
know,
No, we were supposed to be better in 2005.
yeah.
And I think it just sort of fell apart partway through. People got injured.
Yeah.
Um, goofy things were happening. But
Were
yeah,
you were you there when Cooperman was on that TV show?
yeah,
Uh, you were there. What was that like? I
dumb.
because I watched it. It was dumb.
So, well, I mean,
I mean,
Coop,
honestly, the show was kind of dumb too. Like it was like an
listen,
early 2000 MTV.
Cooperman was an amazing wrestler,
Yeah.
but I talked to Damian Hahn when we were on the world team for 23 and under.
Yeah.
And I guess because he's New Jersey and Coop was New Jersey, when Coop originally went to Minnesota, he was like a basket case with his weight.
Yeah.
And then Robinson, J Rob told Hahn, take this kid under your wing and get him to make 125. Well, think about that. He couldn't even make 133.
Right.
So getting him to make 125 was crazy. So Coop left Minnesota because he
Yeah.
couldn't do it. So he came to Lehigh trying to go 133. And the way it went, the year the year his birthday is in between EIWAs and nationals,
Okay.
and we had
Oh no.
we had an expression that he's a closet eater. And the joke was that he had like a big cake in his closet, and he would like go in there and scarf on it. But like he came to practice like I forget, it was maybe 3 days before we left for NCAAs.
Mhm.
Came to practice and he was like 7 over leaving practice. And
Oh,
Santoro told him, Coop, tomorrow I want you to come in 6 over. Right. So
okay.
the next day,
Okay.
Coop came in 9 over. And Coop, we're sticking to the plan. Tomorrow, I want you to come in 5 over. Next day, he comes in 12 over.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
kept going up. And by the time they left for nationals, he's like 15 pounds over. And then he got out there, he tried to make the weight, and I think he got hospitalized. It's like you're too small, lose 15 pounds all at
Right.
once. You can't do that. So yeah, it was kind of they made a they I mean, the show was like uh, something about weight loss.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was all about cutting weight, losing weight, and then
Yeah.
here the guy doesn't make weight, and he's ranked fourth in the country. He doesn't get to wrestle in the NCAAs. And it's like, oh my god. So anyway, it was a bummer. I'm sure it was a major bummer for him.
Sure.
But he was, I think, what was basically the fact of the matter is he was growing.
Right.
And what winds up happening is when kids get to college, like he got recruited for 125. He
Yeah.
was definitely not a 125 pounder. But then he goes to 33 and starts having some success. And it's really hard to let go of that and bump up
Yeah.
to 41 when it's time, it's crazy to see someone like Kyle Dake just go
Right.
up weight class every year. It's like, and still just crush people. Like, holy
Yeah.
cow. Because that's really hard to do.
Yes.
Um, so I can see why the whole situation happened with Coop, but he was too big for that weight. And I
Yeah.
think the next year he went 141 and he was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was comical.
Uh, did you ever think about going up? Because you said your freshman year you had trouble maybe cutting down. Did you have to almost reconfigure your body type a
A
little
little
bit?
bit, a
Okay.
little bit. So my redshirt year, my dad always so he told me two things that during my redshirt year that I think he knew how to motivate me. It's kind of
Yeah.
comical actually. And Strobel, after I finished wrestling for him and I was coaching with him, told me like he said, Trenge, I coached you completely wrong. And he
Oh,
goes, and I take pride in like figuring people out and
yeah.
coaching each person individually according to their personality. He goes, but I completely screwed up because after my second year, they started pumping up my ego. And that was not how my dad operated. My dad would challenge me. So my redshirt
Mhm.
year, my dad told me, he's like, hey, so what's your goal for next year? And I told him I would be a national champ. He's like, ooh, it's like national champ. He's like, I don't know if you're strong enough or big enough for these guys at 197. He's like, you know, it would be good if you could win half your matches next year. I think that would be a successful freshman year.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, half my matches. I was so pissed. So I started lifting stupid hard. And I got on this thing. Me and Mario Stewart were doing this together. It was called 3 day on, 1 day off, double splits. So we would lift in the morning and
Yep.
then we would lift again in the afternoon. And we would do that for 3 days and then take 1 day off. So we'd lift 12 times a week. Instead of doing chest and tries, you split it. And we read about it in a book. It's called Muscle. We had to read it for our English class.
Yeah.
But this guy was on steroids and he was juicing, and this is his workout program. So we're like, let's try to follow his program, but without the steroids. And I got up to like almost 2.25. And then before season, we were working out in the fall, and Strobel like saw me in the locker room without my shirt on. He's like, Trenge, what do you weigh? And I got on a scale, I was 222. And he's like, come here a second. And he pinched my stomach. And he's like, you need to go down to Jack and have him do a preliminary skin fold test. He's like, I don't know if you're going to make 197. You're too lean. So I went down to Jack, and Jack told me 208 was the lowest I was allowed to go, according
Wow.
to the
That's
body
not even
count.
close.
Not even close. So I was like, well, I'm not wrestling heavyweight. Those guys don't do anything. And so he's like, well, the only way, because the hydration testing was like new, he said, the only way you can wrestle 197 is if you make weight and pee clear. Then your body fat doesn't matter. So your body fat could be as low as you want then, as long as you're hydrated and you make weight. So that was a very interesting challenge. And I didn't cheat, but man, I had to cut like 15 pounds the day before. And then I didn't eat anything and I drank a gallon of water and just
Yeah.
held it in me. And
Hmm.
then the next day I had to cut about 12 more pounds. And then I made weight and then peed. And then by the time I did the body fat test, I got back on the scale. I was like 195 because I peed so much, but it was extremely painful. And then I was like, okay, I'm never lifting weights like this again. I'm
Yeah.
changing how I lift. And
Yeah.
so Strobel told me, like, Trent, you have no business going above about 212 in the off season. Keep yourself within 15 pounds. When season
Hmm.
starts, you'll come down to 206, and then you're within striking distance to get to
Sure.
97 pretty easily. So that's what I did for the rest of the way. In fact, in
Mm.
2004, at the training center, we worked out, and those workouts were really hard because the guys were really good. And I was wrestling 213 because Kale was 184
Yeah.
and Cormier was 213. And I had lost to Kale a few times. So I figured, what's the
Yeah.
point of going against him? So I bumped up, and I was walking around after practice. I would weigh out about the same as Sanderson. We were like 206.
Yeah.
And then Muhammad Lawal, who was like top three at 184, he would weigh
Yeah.
210 after practice. These guys at the weight below me were heavier than me. And
Yeah.
Cormier was like 235. I'm like, I'm at the wrong weight, but whatever, So
Yeah.
I figured out how to not lift like a bodybuilder. I
Right.
started doing cleans more, lower reps, building power, and I would use endurance like cardio to build endurance instead of doing super high reps and
Right.
hypertrophy stuff and just pumping myself up and getting big. So that was a good adjustment because I got stronger but lighter, which is
Yeah.
what you want.
Right. How do you, kind of view, you look over your wrestling career and your college career specifically, like second and third. I mean, does that does that burn you, or have you kind of accepted it and you're like, you know what, that was then, this is now. I'm happy with where I'm at in life, and that's what matters most. But like your goal was to be a national champ and to be a,
Yeah.
and make a world team and do all these things, and didn't maybe quite pan out as the
Yeah.
way you had hoped. So,
And it sounds stupid, but like I did a wrestling clinic just recently for a girls team in Northern Lehigh, and afterwards I brought over the tiniest girl, and the tallest person.
Hmm.
And I put my arms up and I said, high five me. And then the one girl just reached up and high fived me, and the other kid couldn't reach my hand. And I asked them, you know, who failed? And they're like, they pointed at the young girl. And she go like this. And I said, it depends how you look at it. Who achieved their potential? And they're like, her, the young girl. The other girl didn't even have to jump. The goal was too low. So if you really want to extend yourself to your maximum potential, if you're reaching your goal, how much more could you have done? You know what I mean? Now, if it's to be a national champ, like a Kyle Dake or something, you can't place higher than first. So yeah, but like for me, I don't know. I think I was capable. Things didn't quite line up. If that year that Sanderson dropped or bumped up to my weight, if he had not bumped up to my weight, I think I would have been a national champ because the third seeded guy I beat 16-5 or something like that. But Kale bumped up to my weight, and it just kind of it just kind of didn't work out and bothered
Yeah.
me for a long time. It doesn't bother me anymore. I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
You
How'd you
know,
get
I
over
think
that?
I think uh, having the goals that I had really
Yeah.
drove me. But I think once that competitive thing is over, then you have to start looking at it from outside and saying, okay, that goal got me this far. If I didn't have that goal, I wouldn't have gotten to here. You know,
Hmm.
Having that little bit extra to go, okay, big deal. You get a different color medal thing on the plaque. And I don't want to minimize being a national champion, but I don't I don't feel like less of a person for getting
Right.
second, and third. And in some ways, it might actually build character. Um, I really wish I would have won it, but it just didn't work out. So
That's an interesting way to actually explain it right there is if I didn't have this high of a goal, I wouldn't have achieved what I achieved to get there. I fell a little short, but look at everything that I achieved because I had that goal set so high, that bar so high. Like, look at all
yeah,
this stuff. Like, yeah, that's a great way to look
like
at it.
for example, my like when I wrote all those goals down, my sixth grade teacher, his name was Mr. Steve Quinn, right? And Mr. Quinn wrote on the back, A plus. When you get your full ride to Lehigh University, I expect season tickets. So my senior year, when I was a captain, I called Parkland and I said, "Can you connect me with Steve Quinn?" And he got on the phone. I said, "Mr. Quinn, this is Jon Trenge. Do you still want season tickets?" And he's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "You're doing all this stuff." And, so
Awesome.
it kind of puts in perspective, like how much of it did get achieved
Yeah.
and what my sixth grade teacher looks at it like, oh my God, like the guy knew what he wanted to do and he's doing all of it. And
Yeah.
sure, I didn't get an Olympic title and a national title, but I did a lot of things along the way and it was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
Um,
Couple things I want to ask you here real quick before we sign off is one is about the Rob Roan match.
okay.
All right. When he was down like 13 nothing and got the fall in the finals. Like I've seen that clip so many times and it's just like what was that like for you watching you're basically your workout partner, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
we
wow.
were we were workout partners and like we were roommates for 2 years. Rob was uh one of the most disciplined people I know. Like
Yeah.
phenomenally disciplined. We called him the grandpa sometimes. This guy didn't drink, he didn't go out to parties. He trained hard all the time. And I think like he struggled with me at practice a lot of times because I have like different muscle chemistry than him. He is super quick twitch, but he gets injured a lot.
Hmm.
And I had a little bit more like endurance muscle fiber. So like when we would wrestle, he'd be beating me in the first period. By the third period, I'd catch him and pass him.
Yeah.
And he beat me twice in high school. So once I started getting the better of him a little bit at practice, like Strobel, he kind of, I don't know if this is why or whatever was going on with him, but he got in a slump his junior year. So he was fifth in the country his sophomore year. Junior year, he went 0-2 at nationals. And
Wow.
Strobel pulled him aside and told him, Roan, you're not in a slump, you're in a canyon. And you'll be lucky if you ever find your way out of it. Right. And so
Wow.
his senior year, Strobel wouldn't let me work out with him. I wasn't allowed to wrestle him. So his workout partner became Travis Frick, and Frick was the most positive influence, like always happy, always joking around, really hard worker, but just like an amazing person. And he kind
Mm-hmm.
of brought Rob out of his shell and taught Rob how to have fun in the wrestling room again.
Nice.
And the crazy part is Rob had going into that NCAA tournament had four pins in college. Four,
Okay.
right? Goes in the NCAA tournament, has four pins in the tournament. It's like, wait. And his last name's Roan, and Don Roan was the head coach of Northampton for the longest time. That's his uncle and or his cousin or something. And Don Roan was big into the cement job, right? All the
Mhm.
Northampton kids that Rob never hit a cement job in his life
What the?
other than messing around at practice. And then
Yeah.
he cemented like three people in a row at the national. The first person, Ralph Danisco, he hit a suck back. But the next three guys, I think he cemented all three of them. And it's like, what is so the reason behind it, my theory, is Rob had nothing to lose. So he wrestled Clint Wattenberg in the finals of the EIWAs, and I think he lost. I
Mhm.
think he got second in the EIWAs the year he won nationals. I don't know if you knew that. And Clint
Wow.
Wattenberg was like, he is unbelievably strong. And I've worked out with that guy. He is so tough. And when Rob finished the match, we were in the, I wrestled right after him. I go back and I'm showering, and he's in there in the shower, and he's just like, his head's drooping down, his arms are hanging, and he looks dejected. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I don't think so." I said, "What's wrong?" He goes, "I'm trying to put shampoo on my head and I can't lift my arms high enough." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I think I strained both my rotator cuffs. I can't lift my arms up to my head." He goes, "Can you put shampoo in my hair?" So I got the shampoo and I'm shampooing this kid's hair like he's a little baby. And then he's like, "Thanks." And he rinses it off. And he's like, "Did I get it all?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got it all." And he's like, "All right." He didn't wrestle he didn't practice between EIWAs and nationals. Not once.
Wow.
Everything was rehab, rehab, rehab. His shoulders were shot. And then he got out there and he warmed up with McCoy before the tournament. That was the first time drilling at all in 2 weeks. And then he wins a national title.
Wow.
And he pulls out moves that he's never done before. And I think it was because he knew he had to or he didn't have a chance.
Right.
And the crazy thing about the finals, he beat Lambrecht earlier that year. We wrestled them at the national duels, and he beat
Mm-hmm.
Josh Lambrecht. I think he double legged him. But in the finals, did you know the move that Lambrecht was doing was illegal? It
No.
was legal, but he got like all his points in a row
Mm-hmm.
without letting go of the tilt.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So he had a cross wrist tilt, and what
Yeah.
Lambrecht was real long. So what he would do is he'd load you on his bottom knee, and as he was getting the tilt, he'd feed you his foot, and people would take the bait and grab his foot and pull on it,
Yeah.
and then he would put his foot on your shoulder and push you into criteria with his own foot. And then he held Rob there, and then he came back and he lets one hand go and shows the ref. Ref gave three back, snuck
Yeah.
the hand right back in, tilted him again. He did it 4 times in a row for 12 points. So it was like a kind of like a tied match, and then all of a sudden it was
Right.
13-2,
Yeah.
and then Rob hit the cement, and he hit like a real nice snap, went one way, and then went the other way, and I don't know what took him so long to pin him with it. He had him on his back for a freaking minute. The guy should be unconscious by then. He should be squeezing his neck so hard, but it was pretty awesome. And then I was in the back thinking maybe I can do that to Sanderson.
Yeah.
He's in the tunnel next to me, and I'm looking at him like maybe I can cement him. And then sure enough, right when the match starts, he hits a shot. I sit to my butt and I lock up a cement job. Sanderson wouldn't let go. He had locked around my back,
Yeah.
right? And he got the takedown, and I'm sitting like vertically with his chin and this, and I had my foot in his crotch and my knee popped exactly the way you're supposed to. I was ready to push off my left leg and elevate. Not saying I would have got him or held him or what would have happened, but I was ready. I was in the perfect position, according to Don Roan, the cement job king. And Sanderson wouldn't let go. And the ref called two, and he started doing this and cinching his lock higher up my back and
Yeah.
sliding his shoulder up to my chest. And then about 5 seconds later, I'm in criteria, and the ref starts counting. So that
Uh,
was a mistake. They put it
yeah.
on the rules video the next year. It should have been locked hands,
Right. Yeah.
2-1, and a fresh start. But
Right.
instead, it was 5-0 with like a minute and 15 of riding time. I had to fight off my back. So he wound up beating me real bad. And
Yeah.
if you take that score back, then it would have been something like instead of 12-4, 8-5. But he
Yeah.
would have had another minute, and he probably would have taken me down another time or something. So I don't know. He
Dang,
was
how
really good.
yeah. Yeah. Um, Last question about that real quick before I move on to one more thing. What was that like watching that happen, but now you have to go and wrestle? I mean, like you did you have to almost regulate yourself a little bit because like you just watched this
It
crazy
sounds
thing
bad.
happen?
It
Yeah.
sounds bad, but like I had nothing to lose against Sanderson. I mean, I wrestled him at the Midlands, and Strobel told me go see if you can score on him. So I was like super aggressive at the Midlands, and I got beaten by like 10 points. It was
Right.
bad, like 15-5 or something. And then I wrestled him at the All Star match, and Strobel said, "This time, see if you can stop him from scoring on you." I said, "Okay." So 0-0 first period. I think the score is 3-1 with like a couple seconds left, and I shot in, and he spun behind me, and then the riding time clicked, and he beat me 6-1 instead
Yeah.
of 5-1. But it was actually a pretty tight match.
Yeah.
And then at nationals, it was like, okay, I've never taken him down. I can't stop him from scoring very well on me, and I can't score on him. So I'm going to have to throw him or catch him or something, And I went out and I wrestled a pretty good match, but I
Yeah.
didn't really, I don't know. I just was trying my best.
Yeah.
I was outmatched, and I knew it because,
Yeah.
and anybody who tells you that's BS, okay, look at the people he's producing now, and
Right.
like how many of the guys wrestle them, and it's like you're not going to win.
Right.
So anyhow, I was super happy for Rob. Went
Sure.
out, wrestled, and as soon as the match was over with Kale, I recognized what had just occurred and the magnitude of what Kale achieved.
Yeah.
And so I ran off the mat to get out of the way so he could have the center stage without me standing there and like trying to hug him or something like that.
Yeah.
But then, I stood on the side of the mat and started clapping for it because it was like a
Wow.
really big thing for our sport, and the guy clearly earned it. I mean, he's a
Right.
hard worker and he's very good. So, I thought I appreciated what he did, even though I was a victim of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure. Yeah. Um, Lastly, I wanted to ask you about, I didn't know you wrote a book. I'm sorry it took this long for me to bring up the book.
the children's book or what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there's one book. It's called The Wrestler's Bible or something like that, and it wasn't actually a book I wrote. There's a Muay Thai fighter that runs like a fighting club in Houston, and they had me out there to teach wrestling. And then, this guy called me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing like over the phone, like an interview, and I'm going to record it and turn it into a book?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So um, that thing's a little goofy because it's like transcribed exactly how I talk, and I don't speak like I'm writing a book.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so the children's books, I had my daughter. Well, my wife had my daughter 16 weeks ago tomorrow, and
Okay.
so first month I kind of took some time to stay home, and I thought it would be a big help, but in reality, I probably should have worked, and then now is when I should be staying home, because
Hmm.
now we can start bottle feeding and stuff, and I can
Yeah.
actually be more helpful. So wound up, I stayed home in the beginning. I was good at changing diapers, but I couldn't really do anything else for the kid.
Hmm.
And she slept all the time. So I wrote a book called Creatures by the Creek with Daddy and Jade. And Jade's our daughter's name. And it was kind of inspired by my wife and I like to fish,
Okay.
but it was kind of like I want Jade to have some sort of experience of what my childhood was like in case she grows up in this like and I'm really going to do everything. We are going to do everything to prevent it that we can. But like these kids are just in their phones. I asked
Right.
my students, ninth graders, what'd you do all weekend? Nothing. I slept. I nothing. I was like, were you on your phone? How much your screen time? 9 hours a day. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh,
Like, go outside. You go outside this weekend? No. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? So I wrote this thing kind of to inspire her maybe to want to go to the creek and flip rocks over and find stuff and do
yeah.
the kind of stuff that I grew up doing. So I wrote it and then I illustrated it. And my pictures were like, I can draw a little bit, but to draw
Hmm.
a lot of pictures for a book, I was trying to do all this in like a short period of time. What
Yeah.
I wound up doing was taking pictures, putting them in the Google Slides, and then using AI to like Gemini to beautify it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they look nice. I'm like, holy cow, these are pretty cool. So my wife's like, we can publish that through um, through Amazon. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, it's free. So we published it. And then
Wow.
I was like, well, that was kind of easy. So then I wrote another one, Jade's first time fly fishing with mommy and daddy.
Hmm.
And that one's cool because it's like my wife didn't fish before we met, so I got to teach her how to fly fish.
Yeah.
It only took like one season, and now when we go like last year and this year when we go fly fishing, I don't have to tie anything on, I don't have to do anything. So now we can actually fish. Where
Yeah.
whole first year I was kind of like acting as a guide, like helping
Yeah.
her figure things out. And I think it would be kind of cool if she got to teach our daughter how to fly fish to
Yeah.
kind of experience, pass it down for, so that's kind of what that one's about. And then I wrote one called uh, oh my God, I forget the title. Something in the garden, but it's with my wife and Jade,
Yeah.
spending a day in the garden and identifying birds and butterflies and plants and things like that. And then the last one I'm working on now is a hiking one where it's like hiking the Hawk Mountain Loop,
Yeah.
where there's some significant uphill. And for a little kid, it's like the story's done and half the illustrations are done. And the basic premise is trying to teach resilience and like overcoming challenges. And then seeing that if you push through it when things start to get tough, it's more rewarding than afterwards.
Yeah.
So, we're going uphill and her legs start burning and she starts breathing heavy and she's like, why are we doing this? And should we turn around? And then we get to the top and she's, overjoyed with how beautiful it is and how glad she is that she pushed through it. So that's the next one. And I don't know how many I'll do. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun. It takes
Yeah.
some time though. It was easier to do when I was at home. Now I'm teaching and I kind of hit a slowdown. But maybe in the summer I'll do one or two more. Um, but it's kind of cool. I think like maybe for show and tell one day, this girl could bring in some books and be like, "This is about me.
Yeah.
My dad wrote them," and to flip through, or I could go in with her and read them to the class or something. So my school district, I shared them with our curriculum people, and my school district is buying a bunch of them for our third grade classrooms.
What?
Yeah, and then they
Wow.
sent my cousin is does something with this organization called Trout in the Classroom through the Pennsylvania Game Warden um, group. So she shared the trout fishing book because it talks about the life cycles of trout and what they eat and where they like to live and how the
Hmm.
water has to be cold and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I don't know. We'll see.
What?
Whatever. It could
This
get big or it could be much.
Yeah, this is kind of fun. Like, holy cow, you got it passed through the curriculum and like this is okay. I mean,
Yeah. So
it's
our
kind of just like
principal,
fun and yeah, we'll see where it goes, I guess. Like,
yeah, our principal took it to, or not our principal, our superintendent of our school district took. He asked me for 9 copies, and he took them to like the other superintendents in the Lehigh Valley, like to a group of them that meet with the. I think it's called the East Penn League or something like that. We'll see. Whatever. What's cool is like once they're on Amazon, they stay on Amazon,
yeah.
and they have some reviews. But I told my wife like in 20 years from now it might sell it might sell more copies than it does right now because the reviews will be higher. There will be more, the way people shop. You look at how many people rated it and what are the ratings. And if it has good
Right.
ratings, So if you see five people rated it, it doesn't have much credibility, but maybe down the line, 10 or 20 years from now, it has like over 100 ratings, and then
Sure.
people will buy into it more. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because
kind of
I mean, think everyone like on Amazon. Okay, what am I going to buy? Let's look up children's books. Boom, and it could be yours. Like, wow.
yeah. I got to find a way to market it or something. If I really want it to take off,
Right.
I gotta put a little more effort into it. But my original goal was I wanted to write a children's book, and I was just gonna make it and color it and
Yeah.
put it in a binding and put it in her room. And then once I started making it, my wife looked at it and she read it and she's like, "You should publish this." And I'm like, "What?" So that's what we did. So she also teaches.
Well, oh, did she teach at Parkland too?
Now she teaches like a cyber charter school
Okay,
called Commonwealth Charter Academy, but it's for kids who like can't go to school
gotcha.
for a
Okay,
variety of reasons. But
yeah,
she teaches earth science like me.
nice.
Same thing at Lehigh. So,
So
but
where can they find your book? Is it just on Amazon?
it's on Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what do they have to
Um,
search to find it?
if you search up "Creatures by the Creek" with Daddy and Jade,
Okay,
it'll pop up. Or they could search me on Facebook. I put the reason I got back on Facebook was somebody told me you should reactivate your Facebook account and put a
yeah,
reel in there of you flipping through the book. So I have three different reels on there that have me kind of paging through each of those
yeah.
three books that are published. So you can kind of get a glimpse of what it looks. I don't know if you've seen it, but
Yeah,
if you go on my profile, you
yep,
could see it and
yep.
you know turn the volume down. It's like you could hear my finger on the page is really loud. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was going to happen. But
That's
so
that's kind of exciting because it's like it's a new adventure and it's like we'll see
yeah,
where this goes. Like when almost like when you thought about like this was how do I say this? When you started wrestling, you probably didn't realize where you were going to end up and what the adventures it was going to take you on. And so it's like this could be that new beginning of like who knows where this is going to take me, you know?
yeah. I like writing the stories and rhyming
Yeah.
them and stuff, like
Yeah.
and that creative part. And I like real fast sketching the drawings, but I
Yeah.
don't like fidgeting with getting them to be formatted right and and tweaking the drawings and using AI, and the illustrations are the major pain in the butt. Like the
Yeah.
fourth book, I wrote the book. I wrote the words, the text less than an hour, but all the drawings take a long time. So to
Yeah.
illustrate it myself is kind of a holdup. And if I was going to keep going, I would say like I would do it. I would the part that I have more of a passion for is the story writing part.